Hello, TCI family, Jonathan's Refuge, all of our followers and faithful family and friends. We love you all so much. I'm blessed as the Archbishop of TCI. I have a celebrity here today, okay? The person who you all ask about every time. I haven't seen her for a long time. Is she still alive? Did she die? Are you a widow? Sometimes it feels like it. But she's here in the person. The First Lady of TCI is with me, and I am truly blessed to have her. It brings me great joy when me and my wife get to spend time with you. And if you ever followed us when we first dated, I'll tell you the story fast. I asked her one day, I was like, hey, listen, I do these 5-minute talks, and it's very important. People need to hear a message, and I have a group that really listens, and I would love for you to meet him. So let's do a video. And she's twitching all over, and her hands are. So I told her afterwards, like, honey, you look like you might have had a little syndrome or maybe a stroke going. You got to get relaxed. Take it easy. So the next time we go to film, she's got her arms crossed like this, and she's standing up holding them. She got her legs crossed, which you can see on the film. And you can see her like trying to move, but I'm not moving, by golly. He said that I was twitching and I'm not going to twitch. It was fun, wasn't it? We've come a long way since then, haven't we? Today is a beautiful day, a wonderful day, a sad day in many respects, too. A man named Bishop Carlton Pearson, who, if you know me, you know that was one of the last living bishops that I had. That was one of my senior bishops. And he passed away. He wrote the book, The Gospel of Inclusion, which is the blueprint to the modern day movement. Inclusionism is not an old thing. Inclusionism is actually prior than Christianity. So inclusionism is actually what you would actually consider the true spiritual belief system in the world. Inclusion allows us to know that God's not just this man I painted in sandals, white robe with brown straight hair and a little beard and blue eyes that we see as Jesus, but that God is an all-living presence. And we have created these myths and legends, and God is this and only this, and for only these people. And if you have this specific prayer you say on this day with one hand in the air, and it's magical, and you surpass this eternal hell thing and all this stuff. And this man, Carlton, helps remind us of old truths and set us free from bondage. And he brought joy. And so this week, as I've been really memorializing my bishop to myself, he's gone. I really wish I could have gone to Tulsa today. I really wish I could have been there. Circumstances didn't allow me. And so I've been mourning the loss and celebrating the loss together this week with my wife and loved ones around me, our church and fellow members of TCI. And I want us to reread those books if you haven't read them, the Gospel of Inclusion. Reread the book that God is not a Christian nor a Jew nor a Gentile. You see, Jesus never told us to follow himself. He didn't say that. He didn't say, make yourself a follower of Christianity. He didn't say that. He said, to inherit the kingdom eternally, eternal life, what do you have to do? Love God.
With all your heart. And love your neighbor like you love yourself.
That's it, folks. That's all Jesus said we needed to do. I've been a follower of the Christ my whole life. And we humans complicate God and make God evil, make him dark, make him scary. God's not evil. God's not dark. God didn't paint and build a place for you to be tortured for eternity. That's man's fiction and craziness to try to control you, manipulate you. And this man, Bishop, freed us. But here's something that most don't discuss about Bishop's life. Bishop was funny. If you ever watched him on his videos, when he'd have the family over and he's cooking, look, I've had soup that he's made, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the greatest. But he sure thought it was the greatest. And don't get me wrong, he did have some good cooking skills. But my point is, he was always full of joy. It didn't matter if he cooked a bad meal. It was a great meal. There was always joy in his heart. When he lost his 5,000 member church because he decided to stop buying into all these lies and free himself and stop chaining others, he kept his joy. I asked him one question in Tulsa while driving to Atlanta to see Bishop Earl Polk's church, which is Papa Don Polk, and Bishop Earl Polk was Bishop Carlton Pearson's archbishop and the man who ordained him as a bishop. And I was heading there to be there with some of my church family and then go preach in D.C. at George Washington's event to pray over the tomb of our founding president. And so as I'm doing this, I knew Bishop was a very busy and powerful man in the world and didn't have time for a little guy like me. And so I just figured I'd call, leave a message, get the voicemail, but he answered. And so we had dinner and we talked. And you know what the funny thing is? He said to me, I asked him, what was the one thing that kept you going when the whole world turned against you? He said to me, the joy of the Lord. And I went, come again? He said, the joy. I said, no, you're not. I don't see joy. You lost so much. People hurt you so much. People came after you, accused you, did all these things. Again, how do you find joy in that? And only a few years later, would I go through the trial of my life? Would I go through the divorce of my life? Would I go through the same kind of things that he went through? And you know what got me through it, folks? The joy of the Lord. The joy of the Lord. See, God, the deity, the creator of all, the great architect of the universe, has power. And joy allows you to tap into that power. You ever notice the most creative people on earth, artists, musicians, they found muses. We use that term, a muse. A muse is someone who inspires you. I get inspired when I drive with my wife a lot. Not that she doesn't listen, but I talk a lot. So she probably doesn't listen all the time, okay? Because I talk a lot. But when I'm with her, I have this ability to be joyful, and that's when I'm creative. When I'm out in the mountains with some of my hiking colleagues, I get that same joy. It's the same joy, and it's creative. And that joy is you tapping into the great creator. You see, life can stink, but you can still find joy in everything. When I went to prison, and I remember this very vividly, everyone was like, oh man, it's so horrible what happened to you. I'm like, no, it's not. They're like, what? And just like Bishop Carlton, I knew the secret was simple. Be joyful. And in being joyful in a crappy situation, you actually act like a man in the Old Testament of the Jewish scriptures named Joseph, who was attempted murder from his own brothers, sold into slavery, put in prison, considered a rapist, even though he didn't do it, put in prison again, and then becomes second in command to Pharaoh himself, the number 2 man in the entire kingdom. And his secret was joy. If you follow his path, it was always joyful. He was joyful that he didn't die, but he's in a prison and his brothers put him there. But he was joyful that he had a job working for his master until his master's wife tried to make him have sex. And then when he wouldn't do it because he's too good of a person, he gets accused of that. When he gets thrown in prison, he's grateful. He's joyful. That joyfulness, had he not been joyful, I don't believe he would have met the 2 guys in the prison cell who were the Pharaoh's 2 right-hand people for cupbearer and the other guy. And had that not happened, then he never would have got out and he never would have interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams and the history changes, right?
And that's because when you're joyful, you stand out. When somebody knows you're going through something and you're joyful, you stand out and they're taking note.
Like, how is that happening?
Why? How do you do that? And it's kind of like in the story of Job. You should be angry at the Lord. And he's like, nope, not going to do that.
People ask Cece all the time, how do you deal with the fact that you have a sick husband? And she smiles and just focuses on what?
Positivity. Every day he's still alive.
It's a joyful day.
It's a joyful day. I mean.
And you have to focus on that, because if you don't, if she doesn't focus on that, and all she'll focus on is what? I'm a sick person. And then she's going to speak, think, meditate, and then it'll come out more. One of the problems I run into with my life, I had this discussion with my executive assistant. I said, please, I need you to help me change. I noticed I answer truthfully, and I used to never do that. People would say, "How you doing?" And I would answer, "How would I answer?"
Fantastic. Right, fantastic.
And then a few people got really close to me and they're like, "Well, tell me how you really feel." And I'm like, "I feel fantastic." Now, here's the truth. I didn't feel fantastic. And a lot of times I don't on a daily basis. I was at the gym this morning. I did today 2 of the 3 workouts that I have scheduled. I was at the gym early this morning at 7. Then I went in the middle of the afternoon and we got in our 3 miles on each workout and our stuff. And in the middle of that, I had to run to the bathroom as fast as I could because I'm about to puke my guts out. And there's nothing I can do. Okay? Nothing. So even though I feel like crap, or when I was going through my radiation treatment a few years back, I didn't care. Didn't matter. I was puking and out on the street running at night, getting my exercise in, okay, getting my 5 miles in, and then going to work, and I didn't care. And I wouldn't focus on it. What I focused on was what I wanted to feel like. I want to feel good. I remember how I felt early as a young man. I was so healthy. I was so bright. My chest, my heart, my body, my lungs, everything inside of me was, So I tell people that's how I feel. Now, is that a lie? No. I'm speaking the things that aren't true, and I'm trying to manifest that into my life. Your brain is the most powerful thing that God created. He created a brain that can actually, if you could use the entire brain itself, science believes you could probably walk through the wall. That's how smart this brain is, that it somehow could find a way to molecularly let you walk through a wall. Some scientists say that they can prove this. Now, I'm not here to argue that or not. I'm here to show you that this brain is more than what we think it is. And we only use 10 to 15% of it on any given day. Here's what I know. I tell myself that I want to feel good. So I manifest it by saying, I feel fantastic. And here's the truth. That is not a lie. I do feel fantastic because I'm grateful and joyful that I'm alive.
Because he could have worse days. There are worse days. So like we try to tell our clients and people that we know who are going through things, try to find at least one thing to be grateful for. And then that kind of can manifest into, if you just try to find one thing each day, before you know it, you're like, you have a list of 10 things that you could try to focus on for that, or 5 days.
Right.
So 5 things you can think about. So staying focused on the positive helps you feel better. That's what the scripture is actually about. That if you were in a Bible app and you put up the joy of the Lord, it says, the Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him and he helps me. And my heart leaps. So that's the joy, because you like, yay, God loves me. Yay, he's going to help me. Yay, he's here for me. Yay, I can trust in him. And that gives you that strength. And then you can smile and be joyful. So it's kind of a sequence in a sense. And the second one that says, so that one's Psalms 28:7, and there's another one, Psalms 118:14. The Lord is my strength and my defense, yes. He has become my salvation. So I like the first one better, but the joy of the Lord is my strength. We hear that often. There's songs.
Sorry, the kitty got in.
Yes. I mean, and then, and quite honestly, when you think about people who are going through cancer and things of that nature, it's really good to encourage them to not watch drama and things of that nature. I Love Lucy, drama, comedy, things that make you happy, because you're already
started something for me. Cece started something for me.
Because you're already going through something, right? And your heart already feels sad. People have this energy. They're worried about you. So I'm just talking about if you have cancer. I remember when my friend Shelly had cancer, and she'll be happy to tell you this. She would sit right here and tell you, I said, don't let anybody put negative energy on you. You just push that off and say, I'll be fine. What you talking about? And that's what she did. And she's perfectly fine. She barely got sick. There were some days, but she barely got sick. And she's doing so good, and she's healed. So that's all that matters, is that she's in remission.
When I was watching TV one night, I remember Cece asked me if the last thing we could watch was a comedy. And I was like, that was funny. She's like, honey, Goodfellas is not funny. And I'm like, but the part where Joe Pesci like shoots him in the foot, that was hilarious. And she's like, yeah, not for me. And I'm like, oh. So I changed it. And I do. I end our night, no matter what it is, we watch something that's either like, uplifting, lighthearted, comedy.
Even
it can
a documentary.
change the documentary. It can change the atmosphere. It doesn't mean that my, kill them, gun them down, things I can't watch. It just means for her, it can affect her. Why would I want to affect her? Because then that affects me. That's stupid. And vice versa. Why would she want to do stuff that affects me in a negative way? So we have to learn to find the joy. Now, when you combine husband-wife teams, there's my joy, her joy. How do we find our joy? Where's the joy? Oh, no. Oh, no. But that's for another sermon, another message.
Oh, get a puppy.
You can get a puppy. It works really well. We have Belle, the therapy dog. So I want to end this real quick. And here's how I want to end it. I want you all to think of what brings you joy. What is it that brings you joy? I'm not going to just tell you. I'm going to ask my wife, but I think I know my wife enough to know that one of the things that brings her joy the most, in my opinion, is her family. When I see my wife with her family, she's her happiest that she's ever. It doesn't matter if we're in the woods, if we're in the festival, if we're at a dinner, loud people, all people, kids screaming, sons yelling, moms yelling, daughter-in-laws yelling, not bad yelling, by the way. I mean, like, talking and all of that. And she's like, yay! She's at her happiest when she's around her family, right? I know she loves arts and crafts. What else brings you joy?
You.
Hey, I made the top 3. I'm pretty good. Yeah.
He's got some good love languages.
But I want you to understand, you need to find joy. We have to find joy. The joy is what's going to keep you going. I've battled many illnesses, and joy got me through it all. And as she talked about that, I remember the young boy, and it's a great way to leave this story. I was in Providence going through my last round of cancer treatment, and the nursing staff loved me because of my positive attitude, because I wasn't feeling good. I'm not feeling good. I'm dying, but I want to feel good. So I say, I feel fantastic. And people look at you like, but I just watched you puke up a bucket of blood. And you're like, yeah, don't worry about that. Just some fresh paint for the walls. But they brought a young man over who was only had a few, like they thought maybe a month left. He was a young man. And it still gets me when I think of it. Even when I first thought of his face, it just stops me. Because I remember when they dumped him next to me and we're going through our treatment in our chairs. And they're very comfortable chairs. And he's like, so I guess you're the guy that's supposed to make me feel like lucky. And I was like, lucky? You're going to be dead pretty quick, dude. He's like, what'd you say? I was like, you're dying. You're going to be dead. Okay, let's get it out of the way. And he's like, well, that's rude. And I'm like, I'm not here to lie to you. We had this great opening, and I got him to allow me to speak into his life. That young man went on and did some amazing things, and he lived actually months past his date. Now you say, yeah, but he still died. Death's coming for us all, folks. You will not escape it. Me, you, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, our children, everybody. We all die.
Someday.
But I know one thing. This kid would have died in probably 3 or 4 weeks, like they said, had he stayed in this state. And his own family recognized it, and they just wanted a few more weeks of happiness. And so I got into his head, and I was like, happiness. Oh, shame on me. She didn't mute the phone.
I did.
Happiness,
Emergencies.
I explained, will come through you. And wow, what is it you've always dreamed of doing? And he's talking about it. And I'm like, well, then let's do it, dude. You got cancer. You're going to be dead soon. No one's going to tell you no. You want to go jump off a bridge with a parachute? Let's go. His parents were like, shut up. That's not what we're talking about. But he did. He went on and did all these things. And I remember going to the funeral and hearing them say that the joy was what they were grateful for. He died joyfully. You can die joyfully, or you can die a miserable old bastard.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be that miserable old biddy. I want to die joyfully. I want to die joyfully, smiling, having fun, living life to its fullest. So as we sit here celebrating the life of our Bishop, Carlton Pearson, who showed me how to get through the toughest times with joy, I ask you to join my hand as I joined hands with my wife and help us as we help you in this journey to finding joy that will allow you to be strong and find strength inside of you from the great Creator. Honey, do you have anything to add?
Just remember that God is with you, and that is a reason to be joyful, and that you are loved. That's a reason to be joyful.
I love you, baby.
I love you.
I think I love more.
I tell people all the time, once you've met me, and now once you know him, like, you're stuck. We love people.
Are you trying to say I'm like a fungus and they stick to me like I stick to them like a fungus?
Mm-hmm. You're stuck with us. We
the
love
fungus
people.
Of love.
We like to take care of people and help people. So God bless you.
Love you guys. Do me a favor. Read the book by Bishop Carlton Pearson, The Gospel of Inclusion by Bishop Carlton Pearson, and God is not a Christian, nor a Jew, nor a Hindu by Bishop Carlton Pearson. Honor the man. Find out who he is. Discover yourself. Free yourself from bondages and chains and all of the pain and suffering, and allow yourself to be loved the way that God intended for it to originally be. We love you. God bless you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy all seasons and any other holiday I forgot to mention. God bless you all.